All right, well, welcome. I have a special guest here today to introduce Depreciation Don, as they call him, Don Vincent. Don, it's great to have you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me here today, Lance.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Don, entrepreneur, very present in the Chicago area, and I just want to get a little bit of background of kind of what you do and how you got there.
Sure. Well, again, appreciate the time and great to be here with you. I would consider myself a bit of an entrepreneur that has some expertise in a couple of areas. The big thing that I do is something called cost segregation. So I go by the moniker Depreciation Don. For the most part, that was a bit of a marketing tool to just kind of differentiate myself amongst the field of other cost segregation guys out there. But it's an easy way to associate myself to the product, but also kind of just sounds good and is easily rememberable. So
Right.
that's where Depreciation Don came from. But yeah.
And so when we're talking depreciation, we're really focused on the real estate sector.
Sure.
Was there anything that really got you into the real estate business to start, or what kind of got you there?
Yeah, that's a good question. For most of my career, I kind of danced around the real estate industry. It started off helping companies seeking permits to build and develop stuff. I would run like grassroots campaigns that built support for their projects, and then lead them through that permitting process to get approval and then build. It wasn't until many years later that I was on a golf course where a lot of real estate deals end up taking place, where I was introduced to a guy that was already doing cost segregation. And after a good round of golf, we got to talking about what it is and whatnot. And I started off just being a referral partner for him.
Okay.
And that quickly turned into pretty good pipeline of business for him. And
Right.
it came out where he was like, you know what, you should just start selling this and join the team and get
Right.
after it. And I was able to do that, and it's was able to capitalize off my network that I had built over the years, and here we are.
Okay. So now I kind of want to jump more into the nitty gritty of
Sure.
cost segregation. We've talked before about the new bonus depreciation. What's some of the things that make it so tax efficient and interesting in the real estate space for maybe someone that doesn't know anything about it yet?
Sure. Well, maybe I'll just kind of level set at the start and just give a little explanation of what cost segregation is. Cost segregation is a process by which commercial property owners, investment property owners can accelerate their building's depreciation by going through an engineering-based study that identifies the various different components of their building that the IRS allows you to take off the straight line depreciation life cycle. That's either 27.5 years or 39 years. And when we identify these various different components, we can recategorize them onto a 5, 7, or 15-year depreciation schedule. So what that does is it front loads a whole bunch of that building's cost basis into an immediate tax benefit. Those 5, 7, and 15-year identified components typically add up to about 22% of that structure's cost. So we can depreciate the building, not the land. So about 22% of that purchase price, or the purchase price plus the investment or improvement costs, we can usually capture that in an immediate tax benefit.
Okay. So you kind of are taking that from 20 years to more like the 1 to 5 year range. Where is that beneficial for the building owner, business owner?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. So really the big purpose of cost segregation is to offset or defer non-W-2 personal income taxes owed to the federal government. So in the grand scheme of things, it's a tax play to offset personal income taxes. So if you owe money to the federal government, you got some property that you're using as an investment tool, well, this is a surefire way to offset that tax liability.
Okay. Yeah, that's, I'm sure a lot of business owners, everyone owes taxes eventually.
Sure.
And it's just a great strategy to have in your tool belt. Now, obviously, it's not great for everyone. What kind of people is cost segregation going to be helpful for?
Yeah, that's a good question. We look at cost segregation as like a chess piece, right? We kind of set it up, and then you work with your tax professional to find the right opportunity to implement these tax savings onto your tax strategy. So those people that need it the most are folks that own multifamily apartment buildings. I see a lot of doctors that have investment properties, or folks that have manufacturing facilities, and they own the building that they operate their business out of. That's a way for them to accelerate that building and then write off some taxes that are owed.
Okay. And so what type of, say, building tends to work the best? Is it industrial? Is it multifamily, single family? Where do you typically see the most benefit?
Well, that's a complex question because all sorts of different buildings have some really good bonuses to them, like multifamily buildings, right? If you look at a 100-unit apartment building, that apartment has 100 refrigerators, 100 dishwashers, lots of appliances that just kind of add up to a significant savings. Now, data centers, right? Hospitals, these structures have really expensive outlets, and they have certain requirements for really expensive materials in their buildings to meet code. So those guys get big benefits because they spent a lot of money. So their savings is going to be large as well. Self-storage facilities, those guys get huge tax benefits because, again, it's a lot of repeatable items, compartmentalized spaces, so there's just a lot of savings and a lot of components that we can put on that five-year schedule.
Right. And this probably ties into your research and development side. I know you guys have to do quite an intensive case study to make sure it even makes sense on a building. But what should someone be looking at when maybe you're coming in to do a case study, research and development? What does that all entail?
Yeah, so the R&D tax credits is an interesting one because it enables people who are doing research and a process to improve their product to take advantage of that time and cost associated with that development of a new product to write off that cost for a tax benefit. So that might be easier said with an example. So there's a new product out there right now where property owners, this is more for like multifamily buildings, where instead of them showing up to a walkthrough to rent an apartment and meeting somebody there that can take them through their building and show them all the different amenities and whatnot in the unit, they can do it by a mobile app. And so that building leads these people through a process that says, hey, do you want to go see the gym right now? And you hit yes, and then it navigates you through the building to the gym. It asks them to, score, hey, what did you think of the gym? And kind of, so that whole process of getting immediate feedback, taking people through the building without having the pressure of some agent there,
Right.
Could be the 15th person they shown that day. It might not be as,
Timing,
all of those issues that, arrive with leasing buildings. So that whole process that person built on that app, well, that can be recovered through a tax benefit. So it's unique in the tax realm or in the commercial property realm, just because it's kind of specific to it. But if you look at anybody that's developing a product out there, well, that time and cost that they're associated with their product development can be used as a tax credit in the future.
Okay. And I know we're getting kind of more in the nitty-gritty of taxes, sure, and you always want to make sure you're working that out with your tax professional as you go along with that and see what makes sense. But you also have this very interesting product that you guys it's very new, that you guys are working with. It's called Green Zip Tape, if anyone's familiar. But what's Green Zip Tape all about?
Yeah, Green Zip Tape. It's a pretty cool product. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a drywall tape. And actually, let me grab it real quick. I brought a piece with me. Yeah. So Green Zip Tape is a pretty unique product. In the grand scheme of things, this is just drywall tape. Now, when you do a cost segregation study on your building, your interior non-load-bearing walls typically do not get qualified for accelerated depreciation. So all of your interior walls, the drywall, the electrical and plumbing components inside it, the paint on it, all of that remains straight line. That total cost all remains straight line depreciation. So 27.5 years or 39 years in terms of a life cycle. But if you use green zip tape, any interior non-load bearing wall that has this applied to it now qualifies for 5-year depreciation, accelerated depreciation. And that is because this drywall tape is removable and it doesn't damage your drywall. So in the eyes of the IRS, this that wall is a demountable wall or a non-permanent wall, and non-permanent walls carry 5-year depreciation. So this takes a cost segregation study, amplifies it by 2 or 3 times depending on the size of your building. So by entering into a licensing agreement to use green zip tape on your buildings, you can significantly increase the amount of components that we can accelerate to 5 years.
So in our previous conversations, you kind of explained how it works and how they've put it up. It's not really noticeable when you put it up. It looks like a normal wall. And
yeah, it's the same process. You know, you're gonna bind your 2 pieces of drywall together. You're gonna mud over it. You're gonna sand it and paint it just like you do on any other project. This just has a different application where if you need to remove that wall or get behind it or change your floor plan, you can go up, unzip it, take that drywall, back out the screws, restack that drywall, and repurpose it. You know, in the grand scheme of things, this was a product designed to stop having drywall end up in landfills. So there was a green initiative behind it when it was first conceived. And so they were trying to incentivize developers to, you know, stop having their drywall end up in. So if in the future, if there was a floor reconfiguration, or, you know, like right now in the city of Chicago, we've got a lot of office to residential conversions happening. If these buildings downtown had green zip tape applied to them 30 years ago, you know, we would be able to do this process and they'd be able to reformat those floors. Now, it's not as simple as just unzipping and doing it, as we all know, but you know, the incentive is there, and you know, if you apply green zip tape to your walls, you get a really nice tax benefit for doing so.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, we walked through a conversion development, and you mentioned all the walls in there could be used with this product, cost depreciation. But for that specific one, it didn't necessarily make sense.
You're right.
And just remind me why that doesn't make sense for maybe a large-scale developer or someone in a different.
I think for that specific scenario, that developer wasn't intending to hold on to their building for a longer period of time. So for a time period of beyond 5 years. So he likely wouldn't have done a cost segregation study on that property. And in that scenario, that's too bad. Just because, you know, if you use green zip tape in your developments and then sell it to another owner in, let's say, you know, 5 years or even 10 years, those new buyers do get to qualify, or those walls still qualify for accelerated depreciation. So, you know, I think there's always the cost analysis of whether or not does it make sense to do it or does it not make sense to it. And those guys that are going through a development or a redevelopment of a property, you know, they may not be looking at the potential depreciation down the line for a future owner. But I do know that there are investment groups out there that are looking to buy buildings specifically to have that accelerated depreciation or that depreciation component of their buildings, and they're going to be looking out for this, or they already are. We already know guys that are hunting for buildings that have green zip tape applied to it, because when they buy those buildings, you know, they do a cost segregation study. Now that cost segregation study can be, you know, 3 times more than what they would normally get on just the average building with drywall. So it's a powerful product, but it's definitely niche. It's probably more designed for buildings that are in the, you know, 5 million plus range. That way the cost for the licensing fee outweighs the, you know, the benefit outweighs the licensing fee.
Right. And so let's say someone's kind of thinking about it. Is this like they can only get this product through you, or how do they kind of get their hands on researching something?
Yeah, so you know, you can go to greenziptape.com. Frank Little is the owner of the product. He's the one that designed it and created it, but he's partnered up with a couple of cost segregation firms. CSSI is the one that I work for, Cost Segregation Services Incorporated, and our team has kind of been tasked with bringing this back to back to market and getting it kind of put back into use. So now's an advantageous time to do it, as there's a lot of redevelopment of existing buildings. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a no-brainer, especially the green initiative. As buildings get developed, it's
That's right.
like, why not at this point? But it has to make sense.
It
at the end
does.
of the day.
Yeah.
Um,
People have to know about it too, which
Yeah.
is why I appreciate being on here with you.
Yeah. So, for someone that maybe doesn't have a ton of real estate experience, but maybe they own property, what's one step that they can take to just get themselves more involved in something like this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. There's a big misconception out there that smaller properties don't necessarily qualify for cost segregation, or the cost and benefit analysis doesn't meet the number. But we do cost segregation studies on short-term rental properties, or 2 flats and 4 flats all the time. So there's the benefit there. Your portfolio doesn't have to be huge in order for you to benefit from this process. Even a $200,000 building, still can bring you somewhere between $12,000 and $16,000 worth of tax benefits. So for somebody that's new and trying to get their foot wet in the game of real estate, this is a good tactic to use, as it brings capital back to you, right? So it's cash flowing money out of your property and giving you more dollars to put to use. So if you're looking to have that down payment for your next building, or make improvements to an existing one and increase that building's NOI, cost segregation is a good way to do that. So what I would always say is, submit your property for a preliminary analysis. We do that process for free, and that'll give you the estimated range of what kind of tax benefits can be derived from your building, and then what's the fee associated with it. And then what we always advise is, take it to your tax professional, see if this process fits your tax strategy and is going to be a net benefit from you. And if it's a good time to do it for you, let's do it. And if not, hey, you'll be at that point at some point.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, thanks for kind of running through that. I think some people kind of get intimidated by real estate. Like, it just seems to be a buzzword sometimes. Sure. But people are interested in it. And so I think that's super valuable.
Yeah. The other big thing too is, sometimes people think this is associated with their property taxes, and this has nothing to do with property taxes. That all has to do with offsetting personal income taxes owed to the federal government. And for the most part, it has to be non-W-2 income. It have to be either derived from some other form of investment, or labor activity. But yeah.
Right. So you've obviously been an entrepreneur in the city for quite some time, and done a lot of things in the community, but also business-wise. One of those being the Daily Line.
Sure.
So your publisher started that. What's the Daily Line all about?
Yeah, the Daily Line is a pretty cool organization. We're a media company that focuses in on policy and the politics that are shaping that policy here in the city of Chicago, Cook County, and the state of Illinois. So our tagline is, we're essential reporting on policy and politics for professionals. So what we do on kind of a delivery basis for our customers is ensure that they're kind of prepared for what's happening within city, county, and state government. So you're going to get a lot of previews for upcoming meetings, and then you're going to get an understanding of what happens in those meetings with original reporting from reporters that are sitting in on all of those meetings on a daily basis. So we kind of act as a guide to understand and navigate government.
Absolutely. Yeah, and especially the local government. Like, I know from personal experience that you just don't see a ton of local news, like, other than what you turn on the TV, but you don't necessarily see behind the scenes. So
sure,
it's
there's a lot of great news organizations in the city of Chicago covering the breadth of everything that's happening. We really try to stay very focused on the policy. So when something gets introduced at the let's just say in the zoning committee for a new development, we're going to track that project through the planning and development, through zoning, and then through its eventual vote at city council. So, somebody who's looking to get a really good understanding of real estate in the city of Chicago, we provide a good shop for that, because you'll get to you'll have a couple months heads up as on a project or something that's happening down the line, 2 or 3 months heads up.
Absolutely. And along with that, you're very involved in the community. I know the 100 Club and a few other nonprofits, the Young Builders Association. So how'd you get involved in those, and how active are you in the community?
Yeah, so with the 100 Club of Illinois, I've been involved with that essentially my whole life. The 100 Club of Illinois is an organization that supports the families of fallen first responders. So any police officer, fireman, paramedic, state trooper, just across the realm of our first responders, any in line of duty death, that organization comes to that household, presents that family with a check to kind of keep the wheels in motion during that tragic time in their life, and then we commit to putting all of that first responders' dependents through some form of higher education or training. So, my dad was a Chicago police officer that was killed in line of duty. So back in 1983, when my mom was actually pregnant with me, and I had 2 older brothers, these guys showed up at our door, gave my family a check, and then years later made sure that when we were going through the application process for higher education, they knew that we knew that they were there to help support us through that. And then not only did they put us through university or college, they helped my brother through his MBA program. They put me through Northwestern's coding boot camp, which for the MERN stack, which was a great opportunity. And so we now do that for back when it first started, it was just the city of Chicago,
Okay.
and then it became the 100 Club of Cook County. But what was unfortunately happening was we had people dying just outside of a geographic or political border, and like a state trooper, he may live in Chicago, but his route was just outside, and those families didn't get the benefits that my family got. So a few years ago, the 100 Club decided to, after taking on McHenry County and Lake County, that hey, we need to take care of all of Illinois. And so by doing so, we took on 133 other dependents, which adds up to about a $16 million commitment. So, a big charge now that I have and the 100 Club has is to raise money for those that pipeline of kids and dependents that are going to eventually seek higher education in the next 18 years.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, we know this isn't going to be the last line of duty death, so that number is going to continuously grow. So it's kind of a mission that keeps growing. I was really fortunate to have this organization in my life. Not only does it, the money's great and all, but more than anything, it helps you remember who your family is or your family member was. In my case, I never had those memories, so this was just a good way for me to, be part of that first responder community, learn about my dad. We've met all sorts of people in the process that shared stories and whatnot, which is pretty cool. And then right now, I sit as I serve for the executive board as the mentor to the young professionals. So there's about 33 young professionals out there that, expand out into their network to help raise funds. We hold a golf tournament every June. This year will be June 4th, I believe. We were completely sold out. We had both courses with 2 twosomes or 2 foursomes on each hole. Last year, so that was really good. I think we raised around like $25,000, and then we do a annual ugly sweater Christmas party right at the beginning of December, and we raised tens of thousands of dollars last year at that party.
Yeah.
So it's a great organization that enables families like mine to not only remember their family member, but also the opportunity to give back. So,
yeah, and all I can think of is just what a way to honor your family, and in that way, it's like. You just feel the support, especially in a tragic time like that. It's like, someone has your back.
That's right. It's
so valuable.
The 100 Club is oftentimes referred to as the first responders for first responders, and that is pretty cool. It's it's a special mission that we hold. It's an honorable mission, and unfortunately, this is never going to end. Our mission is always going to be needed. So it's great that the city of Chicago, the community statewide, has really come together and blessed us with a lot of funds to help continue our mission.
Yeah, and I think just the community you build with that, you just can support each other. and grow in that way. And I could honestly see it moving to other states and just expanding even more.
There actually is a whole bunch of 100 clubs across the nation, and we don't have to get too deep into this, but it originally started in Detroit. There was, back in the 50s, 1950, 1960, there was a fireman that died, and months after he had died, his widow was going to lose her house. So a car dealership, a Detroit car dealership owner, came together and paid off her house, and so her family got to stay there with her kids. And shortly after that, a police officer died, and or was killed, and it was soon they could see it that she was going to lose her house too. So they were like, "Hey, we gotta figure this out."
Mm-hmm.
So this guy got 100 other auto dealerships together, and that's how the 100 Club kind of got born.
Okay.
And they made an endowment, and now that was covering Detroit. And the same issues were happening in Chicago. So a bunch of Chicago philanthropists and businessmen came together and did it here. So there's one in Arizona. There's probably about 40 of them out there right now.
It's just gonna
Continue to
could
grow.
see it growing and supporting more.
That's right.
More areas. So that kind of wraps us up here.
Awesome.
I just want to say thank you for coming in. If you want to learn more, definitely connect with Don. Where's the best way that someone can reach out to you?
Yeah, depreciationdon.com is an easy way to figure out what to do with your properties. There's cost segregation, 179D, R&D tax credits. That's an easy place to come find me there. You can go to thedailyline.com and sign up for our morning newsletter. There's a free version there that kind of gives you a sneak peek into some of the stuff that we're covering, and then there's some paid memberships there if you really want to get into the nitty and gritty of all the detail of what's going on in all the city council meetings there. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And just one more thing.
Sure.
Do you have any advice for anyone listening or anyone that might be looking to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's funny. There's my cousin Jim, who lives down in Florida. Him and his wife had a pretty cool concept, and it's one that when I heard it, it resonated with me because it was really kind of a way that I already lived my life. But it's always say yes. Go check out that new experience. Go have that lunch. Go take that meeting. Go join that podcast.
Yeah.
What I feel happens is the more you play in traffic, the more that you're gonna come out of an experience that you may find interesting, or the next person you do a meeting with, they may have a connection or an introduction to somebody else that might have some sort of life-changing role there for you. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Just say yes.
I think our listeners will resonate with that quite a bit.
Awesome, man.
Don, it was great having you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming in.
You bet.